Tukan, how are you? Which part of the world are you in?
I am the eastern part of Canada in a place called Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Is there anybody else there in that place in Canada besides you?
There is about half a million people in this city,
I've
but
always
yeah,
thought of Canada as, there's a few people in Ottawa, Toronto, and then there's a bunch of people in Vancouver, and everywhere else is just nobody there. There's just ice and snow.
yeah, it is. It is. There is a lot of ice and snow in the northern parts of Canada for sure, but it is definitely a gross misconception, especially when speaking to a bunch of people from California. The one thing I remember one VC once asked me is like, interesting that you guys have internet there. Wow.
That is
But
such a typical California VC thing to say.
that was and you know what that gives me more motivation to say, you know what, there is more than internet and there's a lot of smart people who can use that internet to build some cool crazy shit. So there you go.
Tukan, give us a little bit of background about your history. Walk us through your career arc. I don't necessarily, you're now a founder again, which is a
Yes.
good thing, a successful founder before. Walk us through your career arc. How did you get to where you are? Explain to me a little bit about what are the key inflection points in your career as you went through this journey?
Professional career, yeah. So I'm originally from India, came to Canada to study, do my undergrad. In my third year of university, I think that was my first professional good career break. I got a internship at a company in Halifax called Genie Knows. This is 2005. They were basically building a search engine. So I worked with them, basically working on algorithms of search, building a search engine. So I fell in love with data mining, information retrieval. Um, did my undergrad, worked with them, started my master's, doing in natural language processing. Dropped out of my master's to start LeadSift with four of my three of my other co-founders. Started that in 2012. First time as a business founder, had zero idea about anything to do with other than writing code. But as a CEO, I did everything but writing code. We were building um, we were building basically a platform to predict buying intent by
Okay.
looking at unstructured text data. We raised venture capital money from Omer's Ventures, Salesforce Ventures, an investor. Ran that for 8.5 years, grew it to profitability, and then we exited that business successfully in 2021 to IDG, the big media publication company. Stayed there for 2.5 years. Was overseeing some of their product marketing for their data and software product. Learned a lot about enterprise sales and everything to do with that. And then late last year, I quit, and in December I started Gia, which is my new startup, which is basically building uh, an AI platform for boutique consulting firms to run and grow their business. So that. Those were the key major inflection points.
You've been an entrepreneur before.
Yeah.
What about AI seems to have an incredible amount of competition now in every segment, in every sector of the market. So I get about 3 to 7 pitches every week from people
Mhm.
that want me to invest in the company. Uh, and in every space, there used to be 2 to 3 to 5 competitors. Then in the last before COVID, it would be about 5 to 7. Now it's like 20 to 30 in every single space. There's like 20 to 30 competitors. Is it because a lot more people are developing? Is it become easier to develop? Is it because people feel that there's a gold rush right now? Might as well get everybody to pick the shovels and pickaxes and start digging for gold?
I will say yes to all of them. I think the big factor that I see is the cost of building something has gone down drastically. You can spin up a functional prototype in a weekend. Um, and if you're an engineer,
That's
you
too
can do a
slow, man.
lot
Come
more
on.
than.
Come on,
Yeah.
Tukan. That's too
So
slow.
see that's the Canadian in me that's saying a weekend. But yeah, right. So that's the barrier to entry has gone down a lot. So that's why there's a lot more competition in every single space. Um, we always used to say um, ideas are worth nothing. It's all about the execution. It's even more true now. It's not just execution now, it's distribution. So I think
Yeah,
anyone
yeah.
can build something, is how do you really build something, A, that really fits the customer's pain point, And then B, how do you distribute? What's your unfair advantage in getting a distribution, getting access to customers, or some insight that you have that lets you get customers faster than a big incumbent or a smaller startup? So I think it's the cost of building that has gone down.
Yeah. So if the cost of building has gone up and distribution has become, well, the distribution has become possible now, right? Previously, you had to build an enterprise sales team to sell a product. You build a sales team to sell a product. Now you can actually get customers coming inbound through product-led growth motions, LinkedIn and Twitter, or TikTok if you're a consumer entrepreneur. It's also distribution is now possible to do if you build yourself a good brand on these platforms with content.
Yes and no. I don't think that the distribution bit hasn't changed much because of AI. I think
Mm.
it's still harder. I mean, if you think about it, LinkedIn, TikTok, I mean, TikTok might be new. LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, they have all been around. Those things have always been there, and those were always, the smart founders figured out distribution while they were getting to product market fit. So that has always been there. I don't think AI has changed. Product led growth is not an AI specific thing. What AI has done is you quickly build the product, get it in the hands of customers, get feedback, iterate, and then keep doing this. What you can do, what people are doing is while they're doing it, they're doing building in public and things like that.
Mhm.
That seems to attract people, but distribution hasn't gotten any easier. I don't think that still there. It's you can distribute something faster because you can build faster, but you still have to figure out a way to get to those customers. Um, so yeah.
When you're talking about your GTM, you said there are two things you're trying to do right now in the last few months since we spoke, building the product and finding out this GTM, correct? Building the product with AI, I would imagine you're using obviously tools like Windsurf and Cursor and using AI. I don't know if I call them vibe coding, but let's call it that right now. Vibe coding solutions to help you. And on the flip side, of course, there are non-technical people that are building with Lovable and Replit and things of that nature as well. So that part has been AI enabled. There's work to be done, obviously. There's a bunch of different things you can do there. And on the flip side, in GTM, let's talk first about the development AI. What are you
Mm.
seeing now? You said it is possible to do it in a weekend, 2 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is, right? What are the kinds of things people are building right now with AI that you felt we couldn't build before? Or are you going after the same market is just much easier to build and give them something? With Gia, let's take Gia as an example. Is Gia
Yeah.
something you could have built before the 2022 November ChatGPT era? Or is this something that only happens because of AI? We'll
AI,
get to the AI native thing, but that's my question.
I think you still could have built Gia before 2022, before the whole explosion of foundation and LLM models. You still could have. It just would have taken you a lot longer and slower. For example, a classic example. I think about this a lot. I think the LLMs, what they have done is they have given, and I'm not talking vibe coding, I'll come to that, but like core engineering, there's two big things it has given. First, it has given you PhD level natural language processing capabilities.
Yeah.
You'd need 40 PhDs to understand text and things like that before. Now it's literally a prompt, right? Back in LeadSift, we built something, a proprietary algorithm to detect buying intent. We used a concept called semantic role labeling to figure out who's the subject, who's the object, and all of that fancy stuff. Now it's a query. So that is something that is fundamentally different, right? So you could still do a lot of NLP related stuff, but it would take you a lot more resources. Now it's easy. So that's one thing LLMs have given. The other thing LLMs have given is for the first time, it has given you access to the world's knowledge in an API format. And that is unparalleled. Like previously, only Google had access to the world's knowledge. Now, through a bunch of these web search specific, whether it's Exa AI or Perplexity or whatever, or even these web search tools, you can have access to the world's information. Those are things that have made it much, much, much easier. Previously,
Hmm.
you just have to either spend a lot of time buying specialized data sets or engineers to do that. So that's
Hmm.
one thing that has changed big time. So yes, you could have built Gia, but it would have taken a lot longer. The way we currently use AI, practically speaking, in our organization from a development perspective, is we use Claude Code heavily. They were using the engineering team was using Cursor. They switched to Cloud Code. All of them have. We have 4 engineers. That's it. A CTO and 3 engineers. Um, the thing that they tell me is they've sped up the development process by 25%. So that is the speed that they say, about 25%. So so that is in my mind a pretty significant bump. So they're heavily writing code. They're heavily using Cloud Code to write code, and then they're debugging and fixing things. So that's one thing. The other
Hmm.
thing that it has helped me from a product perspective is prototypes. Previously, we used to, originally people build slides, and then that's what the prototype was. You build a slide and you talk through a customer, like, hey, this is how I'm thinking about it, when you are doing customer discovery or feature discovery. Then came Figmas of the world. Now it's lovable. You basically build an interactive prototype personalized to them, and that's what how we have been doing. I basically build a custom lovable prototype for any new feature that we want to release. We make 4 or 5 versions of it, and we get on a call with a customer, say, hey, I'm going to share a link with you. They click on the link, and we watch them click and ask them questions. Based on that, we get feedback much, much faster, real feedback, and give it to the customer, give it to our engineering team to build. From the customer's perspective, this is way more tangible. They're like, oh, I can click and feel, I can see what this is, not what he's conceptualizing in a Figma mockup, no matter how high fidelity it is. So I think that process of like iterating based on that, and then getting the engineers to use tools like Cloud Code or Cursor to build is significant. So that's how we are implementing
Yeah.
AI in our development.
When you look at these things, are you seeing, you talked about you're taking the fidelity, you're building a prototype, and you're giving it to the customer, they're playing around with it. Then you go back to the engineering team and say, this is what has happened. Do they typically take a prototype or they throw it away and they start fresh?
Uh, they they take the outline of the prototype, but then they would use their own.
Why?
That
What's happened there, you think? Why is that still? I mean, by the way, my team does the same exact thing. They think whatever I build with vibe code, even if I use freaking Cursor with very good frameworks like React, they still throw it away. They still feel like I'm not engineering a solution. I'm prototyping a solution, which I think I understand, right? Prototypes are not going to scale. They'd say, yeah, they build the exact same thing. But now I think the big advantage is I tell them what the user experience. Most of my teams don't have a good idea
that's
of
it.
user experience, what they want
That's
or
it.
what I want to see get done.
That's it.
But why do you think it is not possible for us still to go from vibe coded, got it out there, now you can take this and build on top? We almost every one of them, it's not like 10%, it's 100% of the solutions are thrown away, start fresh, build the same thing, but build it in this way. In literally, sometimes they hand code it.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I'm not the engineer, so I don't know why they do it. But to be honest, though, I still think there's a gap between a prototype built in Lovable versus what an engineer would hyper focus prompt a Cloud Code to build and tweak. There's a big difference. Today, probably in the near future, it'll go away. And I'm guessing Claude and OpenAI are going to
ChatGPT
build.
Codex.
Yeah. Called Codex. Yeah, they're going to build the lovable type functionalities so it'll be more tightly coupled from a prototype to production ready. I think that gap will go down eventually. Today, that's how, at least in our organization, that's how they do it. But it's the UX part of it. They're like, oh, okay, this is clicks, this is the button. That part there's to be a lot of back and
Back and
forth. There's a
forth.
static requirements document. I think so. The thing that we are also, this is very, very interesting. One of the things that we have started doing is when we build this prototype in Lovable, we actually ask them to give 3 or 4 versions of that based on different user experience, and it gives fantastic 3 or 4 versions. So when we test it with customers, we sometimes test with multiple different versions, and we give these multiple different versions to the engineer, saying, "Hey, here are 3 or 4 versions of it. I think as a product person, this makes sense. Choose which one you like." Um, I think that these are things that are incredible that was not able to be done before, and it feels like magic to me.
Yeah. Okay, we covered that portion of it. I think there are a lot of things we can explore in that, but let's flip to the other side.
Mm.
Tell me a little bit about your go-to-market and AI. That still seems, Like we do a lot of, I mean, I use it quite a bit. I literally live now in Claude and Chat, and I use literally live in Lovable, Replit, and all of those tools, right? I pay close to about $500 just on subscriptions, $20 each, I think, to every one of them, right? Even, but of course, I pay $200 a month to to OpenAI, which is a big part of it, and then $20 a month to a bunch of other products just to make sure
Right.
that I on the go-to-market side, it just seems to be a smarter bouncing your ideas off of doing some simulation, but I have yet to see someone use it very effectively for really using AI and go to market. Walk me through what you use it for. What do people
Yeah.
such as you use it for?
Um, I'll give you an example of go-to-market. It's a broad spectrum of how we are using, and I'm not sure if this is the best practice, but one of the most common things that I do is any content that we publish. So we create podcasts and we publish that, or we create videos and then publish it. Uh, LLMs help us big time with the post production. So I can upload a transcript and say, hey, from this transcript, give me the most highest performing title, subject line for LinkedIn, for YouTube, for Apple, for this. So great. Create the show notes for me. Prior to a podcast interview, I say, hey, imagine you're the show writer for Tim Ferriss. For this user, give me a set of questions. So it helps me with those kind of administrative tasks that are part of my go-to-market strategy. The next thing that it does in go-to-market, we are biased a little bit. We use AI in creating content on LinkedIn. Gia, one of the things that Gia has something called, we call it a content agent. It basically helps us come up with fantastic content ideas or drafts for us to create content on based on discussions we have uh, internally and externally with calls. So that's something that we are using tactically heavily. That is one of the biggest use case our customers do. So that's one thing that we use in go to market. Another thing that we used in go to market was actually you will like that. That is an engineering bent. So we did sort of a lead magnet, an interactive lead magnet, where you can upload your website, your LinkedIn profile, and it'll grade what your content score is relevant to your audience. Um,
Score.
a score with specific actionable tips like how can you improve your score and all of that. Um, the whole thing was vibe coded in Claude. Like literally not a single line of code was written. It was just vibe coded in Claude. So yes, it's an engineering thing, but now I can build an interactive lead magnet in literally a weekend and ship it. And we got about 127 leads in the first day, a bunch of views and all that, product hunt rank and all that. Previously, I remember to get an interactive lead magnet done, like where there's things and engineers do, probably a week, 2 week sprint cycle. Now an engineer does it in a weekend. So that's also part helps me in go to market. We don't do much in go to market AI with related relation to outbound or any of those things or lead enrichment. We don't, but it's for content creation. It's for post production of our content creation on LinkedIn, post production of our um, post production of our podcasts, and then these interactive lead magnets. That's how we are using um, AI tools.
Post production of your podcast, is it by which you go through that and say remove all the ums and the ers and the ahs and
Those are native in Riverside. We use Riverside as a platform.
yeah,
They do that.
yeah, yeah.
But what we do is we upload the transcript and say, hey, give me the most interesting parts from this video with timestamps, as an example. So it gives me the timestamps. Then I can take those timestamps and make short clips out of it. I don't have to sit through 30 minutes of interview, go, what were the interesting things, as an example.
So that's
From the
something
video,
like what Opus Clip does, right? I do that with Opus Clip. I just take my video,
probably.
like the recording
Yeah,
with you. I point it to Opus Clip and say, give me the five, three, whatever I want, most visible viral clips where people would get a lot of engagement. It gives me those clips, and I can go into
yeah,
YouTube Shorts
yeah,
or Instagram.
yeah, 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 yeah. So that is something that we use. We don't use Opus Clip. Riverside does some of this. We also do it some of this manually in ChatGPT.
Got it. Tell me about the third one, which you also mentioned, which is you built this lead magnet and you got that going. Is that something that you have as a cadence on a weekly kind of a basis or monthly basis, or you think,
No,
okay, as we get good ideas, we'll develop a lead magnet?
that's it was done more ad hoc, Mukund. But I think there is a play in having a cadence. Is basically because it is so easy to build and test something. We don't currently. At least once a month, or not at least once a quarter, maybe once a month. You should
Yeah, too many lead
do a lead
magnets
magnet.
just dilute it. Even once a quarter, I think,
Exactly.
would be a good
Yeah,
starting point.
I would agree, and that's what we are hoping for. But the key thing is, you don't want to create a lead magnet just because you can write cool shit. You want to think that is
How is
this
it
creating
useful?
value? Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Tell me about other areas that you've used AI with, just as a founder. I know that some people have said we're using it for investor outreach. They're using it for a lot of different things, right? They're using it for give me a good profile of the 10 investors that might be in this space. You've raised funds? Are you looking to raise more? Are you looking to use that AI portion for that as well? Or has it helped you in your fundraising or not at all?
No. Yeah. Fundraising, AI was not involved. Well, actually, I take it back. We in today's age, you probably cannot raise funding if you don't have an AI story.
Yeah. Story.
So,
Yeah.
but right, but we didn't use any AI tools to help us with our fundraising. We didn't. The investors that we raised money from, I knew all of them from my previous startup, and from that, so that's how I raised. Um, some of our teammates, just another thought. One of my teammates, he does a bunch of outbound. So he uses AI to figure out what are some latest news items, and uses that to come up with like what's one hook that if I congratulate them with something that's like a conversation starter. He does use that. Gia has something internally for our clients. We sort of course, it's our tool, so we use it ourselves. There's something called a Gia growth coach, which basically tells us who should you reach out to. But again, yeah, those are the ways I use AI in go to market. Um, one of the things that I we don't use it. Uh, I think in landing page creation,
Mm-hmm.
that would be AI allows you to create multiple variants of a landing page because it's great at text generation. Um, that is a fantastic use case. So you might have a landing page for like we sell into agencies and consultants. So for marketing agencies, there's a landing page. For this, there's a landing page. So you can use it. We don't use it currently, but that's a use case. I have heard people are using AI for a lot of blog creation, SEO blog creation at scale, hundreds of them. So that's one thing. Actually, speaking of which, there's an experiment we did. We didn't proceed too much like we abandoned it because there are other things that took priority. We basically built an AI long form content creation agent. Meaning, what if we could create a blog that is topically relevant to my business? So let's say I give it an input saying, hey, create a content on challenges consultants face, or CRM for
Mm-hmm.
consultants, or growth for consultants. What this agent did was it would go into public forums, query it, find any matching posts that has that theme, from there extract the keywords that they were asking for, which would be a proxy for saying, okay, if people are asking these questions on Reddit and Twitter, people are also searching these questions on ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini.
Yeah. Yeah.
Use that, then look through your internal knowledge base and then create a blog post. Um, this whole thing can be completely automated, and I've seen that in work. The quality was not the best, so we didn't go ahead with it. But that's something that I know people are doing. So automated blog creation.
Sorry, we will edit it out because my dog suddenly got excited.
That's
Tukan,
a
this was
crazy idea for
terrific. We're
dogs.
coming up. We're coming up on the time. So first off, thanks for being here. This was
Thank you.
definitely a lot of fun. I think just exploring and helping a lot more founders realize which areas they can use it and can't use it is a big value in and of itself.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks a lot.